happy Wednesday. I am Angela Paoli, Vice President of Education and Broker Development for At Properties Christie's International Real Estate. I hope you loved my chili pepper opening, a little bit of energy to get you going through the day. I am super excited to be here today, guys. I have an amazing special guest, and while a lot of you know Katie Lance and love her and follow her on all social media, as well as I do. So she's here today with us live to teach us a special class just for At Properties agents, leveraging social media for real estate success. So just a little bit about Katie, for those of you who may not know her or be familiar with her. She is an internationally known keynote speaker, social media strategist, best-selling author, and she just came out with a new book, which I'm sure she'll talk about. Worked with some of the biggest brands in real estate, and she's also been named one of the 100 most influential people in real estate by Inman News. So we're super excited to have Katie here. Katie was with us in the spring and did a really great session for us. She's going to do another one for us now, and then keep your eyes out because we'll see her also in 2025. So Katie,
That's
welcome.
What it sounds like. Congrats.
Oh, thank you so much, Angela.
It's great news.
Yeah. Where do you have that sound in the background?
Yeah, so on the buyers in your place, it sounds like they want to close quickly.
Somebody
I
needs to
wonder
mute.
what that is. I should have everybody muted. Can everybody mute? Everybody
And then
should
you're
be
going to
muted
close on
my
the
It wouldn't be a
Interesting.
Zoom
Or if someone joined as a panelist. All right, give me 1 second just to look at what's going on in this land.
No worries. Yeah, it wouldn't be a Zoom if there wasn't at least one person unmuted.
I know, right? Okay, yeah, interesting. It's only me and you, so I'm
Okay.
unsure where that sound's coming from. Interesting. Good way to start. All right.
All
So,
right,
hi
it's all
everyone.
good.
I know I heard it too, Holly. So weird. Okay, so let's get this rolling. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then Katie,
All
you
right.
can share your slides.
All right, perfect. Awesome. Let's share my slides. And let's do this full screen. All
If you
right.
guys have questions while Katie's talking, please put them in the chat and we'll do our best to get to them as well. We have about an hour.
Yes, yes, I'm so excited. And thank you so much, Angela, for the warm welcome. I'm so excited to be here live with you guys. I've chatted with so many of you after we did our recorded session back in the spring. So many of you emailed and reached out on social media, which was just so lovely. And so I'm just so excited to be here live. And we're going to talk all about how to leverage social media for real estate success. I just want to mention too, as we're going through the training, if you are at a place where you can take notes, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. I know it's really easy on a Zoom to multitask and you might have a lot of different windows open, but if possible, I always say give yourself the gift of your presence while you're here and take notes. Feel free to take pictures of the slides. I will say at the end, I'm going to share a link for the slides. So if you're the kind of person who wants to download and print them up afterwards, I've got you. I'm going to share the link for that at the end here today. As Angela mentioned, I'm Katie Lance. I'm the founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting and the Get Social Smart Academy. I'm author of the book Get Social Smart. Just published our 18-month social media planner over on Amazon also, which we're really excited about. You can see a few family pictures on the screen. I'm happily married. My husband Paul and I have been in business together for 12 years. We've been married 22 years. So partners in life, partners in business. We have 2 teenage boys who keep us very busy. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm an author. And, at the end of the day, when I think about social media and I think about our place in sort of the real estate industry, we are really passionate just about helping agents and brokers get smarter about social media. I really feel as a mom, as a wife, as a speaker, as a business owner, that time is our most precious asset. And so I don't think that anyone should be spending hours a day on social media. I think that, when done right, social media can be a huge boost to your business. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm very excited, especially as we get into the end of summer and fall is right around the corner. I do have a QR code on the screen that'll take you to my Instagram. So if you've got your phone out, take your phone out, scan that. That'll take you to my Instagram. We'd love if you give me a follow. And as we're going through our training here today, if you hear a nugget, if you hear something that gets you fired up, take out your phone, take a picture, take a selfie, tag me, tag At Properties, and I'm going to hop on social media later. I would absolutely love to connect with you guys. I can see a lot of chatter in the chat, which is awesome. So thank you guys for all the kind words. If you do have questions today, feel free to put your questions in the chat. I'm happy to try to answer as many questions as we can. And then at the end today, we'll also have an opportunity for questions. I'm just going to drop my Instagram in there as well. Thank you, Holly. You guys are awesome. All right, so let's get into it. This is really part of a 3-part series. The first part we did back in the spring, where we talked about a lot about AI. This one, we're really digging into some of the nuances with social media. We're going to talk about Facebook and Instagram and just some thoughts around strategy and what to post and what's happening now in 2024 to leverage all the social media platforms. And then part 3, which will be in the new year, will be all about content creation and kicking off the new year. So I'm very, very excited about that. So let's start with just some statistics. I want to kind of start with some stats that I thought were kind of interesting. This is from the National Association of Realtors. They do a member profile every year. This is from the 2023 member profile. And they looked at agents and brokers across the United States and where they're using social media. Probably not surprising, but Facebook was number 1 on the list. 67% of all realtors who were surveyed are using Facebook professionally, followed by LinkedIn, followed by Instagram, followed by YouTube, and the list goes on and on. What I thought was actually really interesting was this particular graph. So not only are we looking at how many realtors are using social media, I thought it was interesting to see out of the realtors that were surveyed, how much business is being generated from realtors and social media. Now, this was the last graph that I could find. This was from 2022. And shockingly, 48% of realtors said that they are getting no business from social media, which is absolutely shocking to me because I am in the business of social media and I've been teaching social media for, more than a decade. But I share this with you today because to me, that is a huge opportunity for all of you. I think for a lot of folks, a lot of people I often hear, a lot of agents will tell me, oh, it's too late, or gosh, I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. You might feel behind. You might feel like, well, there's other people in my market who are doing this, but I'm not doing what they're doing. I just want to say it's not too late. It is not too late. And if you're writing anything down, you can write that down. It is not too late. Now, other people have told me, gosh, I feel too old. You're also not too old. Okay. And the opportunity is wide open. Now, I would also say too, that you don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to be on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest. I don't think you have to be on 27 different platforms. I think you need to pick 1 or 2 that you enjoy being on and that your clients are on. And we're going to dig into some of that. Now, one of my favorite quotes, by the way, on the screen here is it says, it always seems impossible until it's done, right? It always seems impossible until it's done. Angela says, it's not too late. Yes, it's not too late. Holly, exactly. It is never too late. Never too late. And what we're going to talk about today is really a strategy. I am a strategy girl because without a strategy, without a plan, with anything in life, you're just throwing stuff against the wall and hoping if it sticks. And this is a great thing to take a picture of and share on social media if you're sharing anything today. Because again, a lot of times, you might come to a training, you might come to a webinar and you learn a lot of things, you learn about different apps and tools and you go, oh, that's exciting. And I'll try this out, or I'll try that out. But at the end of the day, it's about putting a plan together, putting a strategy together. And so that's really the goal of our time together today. I don't think you have to do everything that I'm going to teach you, but pick 1 or 2 things, start implementing those into your plan and your strategy, and it can make a really, really big difference. And start with where you're at, right? Start with where you're at. So let's first and talk about Facebook, since Facebook is the number 1 platform for a lot of agents still. And I get the question asked, is it still relevant? And it is absolutely still relevant. In July of 2023, Facebook had over 3 billion monthly active users, and it's still the most used social media network worldwide. As you can see on the screen here, 37.2% of all people on Earth use Facebook, basically 1 in 3 people. And Facebook.com is the 3rd most visited website in the world. So lots of opportunity. And when I think of Facebook, I would imagine a lot of you probably have a personal profile and a business page. And the biggest question I still get asked in 2024 is, do I need both? And the answer to that, in my opinion, is yes. They're similar but different. And where I think there's a big opportunity in Facebook is to stay in touch with clients, people who know you, keep in touch with people in your sphere who know you and love you. And we'll talk about that because I think there's a huge opportunity for relationship building, as real estate's a relationship business. But I also think there's an opportunity to expand your sphere into new business. So we'll chat a little bit about that. One thing I think is really important when we think about, especially your Facebook personal profile, but also your business page, is optimizing those pages for success. So 5 things I have on the screen here. Number 1, don't be a secret agent. Meaning we want to make it really clear, not just on Facebook, but any social media platform. You want to make it very clear that you're a realtor, you're with app properties, and then also what area do you specialize in? Is it specifically Chicago? Is it Naperville? Is it like whatever specific area you focus in, making sure that's very clear, as well as your contact information, your email, your website, maybe even a phone number. This is also important on your personal profile. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be friends with everybody. I know for a lot of you, you might have your personal profile just kind of locked down for friends and family, which is totally fine. But the thing is, when you get Googled, and we all get Googled, oftentimes your personal profile comes up. So if I'm trying to find your email and I Google you and I see your personal profile, and we're not friends, but I want to be able to see, oh yeah, that's Angela. Like, she's with that property. She's the one I need her email, right? And so it's important on your personal profile as well as your business page. Make sure your contact information and the fact you're in real estate is open to the public. So I'm not necessarily giving you homework here today, but if I were to give you homework, that would be one thing to do, is check your Facebook as well as any of your other social media profiles to make sure it clearly says that you're a realtor, what brokerage you're with, what area, and your contact information. Okay. Number 2 is the 80-20 rule. So on your personal profile, I believe in the 80-20 rule, 80% personal, 20% business. Doesn't mean you have to share every moment of your life and what you had for breakfast, but we share things that are important to us. If you and I are friends on Facebook, you're going to know I share things like what I love to read. I share my travels. I might share stuff about my kids or my cats. And then occasionally, yes, I talk about business. So that 80-20 rule, I think, is really important. The third thing is leveraging Facebook Live, Facebook Stories, Facebook Groups, Facebook Reels. There's a lot of opportunities within Facebook, and we're going to kind of touch on some of those nuances here today. Facebook Live is still super relevant. I know probably a lot of you were using Facebook Live like during the pandemic, and Facebook Live is still a great opportunity to give a sneak peek into maybe an open house or to, chat about what's going on in the market. That live type of content. The beautiful part about live is it doesn't have to be scripted. It doesn't have to be perfect. People can watch it live. They can also watch the recording. And then we have things like stories and reels, which live at the top of your feed. If you go on Facebook right now on your phone, the top third of your page are stories and reels. Stories are here today. They disappear in 24 hours. And those are a great place to share your behind the scenes as you're out and about. I always say, look at your life as content. Reels are a great opportunity to share short form, quick videos, and you can share those to Facebook, to Instagram, to other platforms. And then groups. I'm sure a lot of you are probably part of Facebook groups, perhaps within app properties. You're probably part of Facebook groups in your local town. And if you can be a local resource in some of those local Facebook groups where people are asking for a contractor or the best recommendation for, X, Y, and Z, being that helpful source, I think is super, super helpful. And then number 5, I think, honestly, one of the best things that you can do on Facebook, especially in your personal profile, is to highlight other people. Highlight other people. Be a good finder. I mentioned earlier, I have 2 boys, 2 teenage boys, and I often will tell them, be a noticer in the world. As you're out and about, be a noticer. And I'll say the same thing on Facebook. As you are scrolling through your feed, be a noticer. Meaning, if someone posts something about maybe a local school or something they're involved in, or something really positive, take a moment to like, comment, interact, maybe even share that post. And it feels really good for the person on the other side. If you think about your own behavior when you post something, often, what do? We go back and see, how many likes did I get? Who liked it? Who commented? And a like is one thing, a comment is something else, but a share is like the ultimate currency in social media. So one of the ways to grow is to highlight other people. And you can do this on your personal profile, but we see this also done very effectively on your business page. If you feel like the same 5 people are liking and commenting on your Facebook business page and you feel like it's crickets over there, one of the fastest ways to grow that is to highlight other people. So maybe that's your local lender, maybe that's your favorite coffee shop owner, maybe that's your favorite local business. By highlighting them, it could be a video, it could be a picture, it could be tagging them, but being a good finder, right? And one of my favorite quotes on the screen here is by Jim Rohn, well-known speaker and author. He said, only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have, right? Only by giving are you able to receive. So being a good finder, giving, spending time interacting, it's a small thing that makes a huge difference, especially on Facebook. And I think a lot of you are probably doing this where you're posting photos of your clients, you're celebrating your clients on Facebook. I still think this is super relevant. This is something that a lot of you have probably been doing for years. Now, not everybody's on Facebook, right? And not everybody wants their picture shown. So obviously we want to be careful and we want to be respectful. depending on who the client is. But I would imagine for a lot of you, oftentimes half the people you work with, if not more, are probably on Facebook or other social media platforms. And where I think there's a big opportunity is when you're posting this, how you say it. Now, this is a picture of me and my husband when we bought our home 10 years ago. My hair was a lot shorter back then. And I remember this day. It was 10 years ago. My boys were so little. We got the keys to the house this day. This is the day the house was empty. The previous folks had just moved out, and our kids were running through the house, opening up all the closets, running outside in the backyard. And I remember handing my phone to our realtor, and she took our picture. I posted it to Facebook, and this picture has gotten more likes and more comments than almost anything I've posted in 10 years. And I just share this today as just a reminder that for most people, buying and selling a home is one of the biggest moments of their life. It is right up there with getting married, having kids, buying a home. And so how we share stuff like this, I think, is important. I see a lot of agents who still say things like, closed another deal today, 2 more in escrow, which is great. But what if we flip the script a little bit? What if instead we said, oh my gosh, I had an opportunity to work with this amazing client or this amazing family, and I can't wait to see what's next for them. Right? So you see how that feels different? It's less about you and more about them. Another thing I would say is be curious and ask simple questions on Facebook to increase engagement. This is something we've really seen as a big trend in the last probably 12 to 18 months. And I have a couple examples on the screen here. So when you're on Facebook, you can type in something and you can add a background. You guys have seen that, where whether you're on your phone or your computer, you can add in like a colored background. And I find by asking really simple questions, something that is a no-brainer, something that anybody can answer, is a great way to increase engagement, right? So for example, Sam James, who's been in our academy for a while, I have a little screenshot. She said, I just listened to Katie Lance talk about posting text especially on Facebook. I posted today, how long have you lived in your home? No picture or anything, just a sentence. And the response has been amazing. I haven't had this much engagement before. So I have a screenshot of her post. This was back in January. She said, how long have you lived in your home? And you can see she had 68 comments. I don't know about you, but I can't remember the last time I had 68 comments on something. Maybe it was a cat video or something. So this is something that's a great thing to post either to your personal profile or your business page. And the idea here is we want to ask something really simple. So it might be, how long have you lived in your home? Or what's the number one thing you love about your home? Or what do you love most about your area? Or what's your favorite room in your house? We want to ask things that are pretty simple. What we don't want to ask is, we don't want to say, are you thinking of buying or selling? That's a really big question that most people are not going to answer publicly, right? When it comes to buying and selling, we find that a lot of people lurk for quite a while before they reach out, right? But if you can ask something really simple, what happens is now you're going to get more eyeballs on that post, and that's a trigger to Facebook that people are liking your content, which means your other content, your listings, your open houses, other content, you're going to have a kind of a trickle down effect, which is really kind of cool. I'm just looking at the chat. Holly asked, for the 80-20 rule, should we be doing 80% business and 20% personal on our business page? Do we need to post to both pages? That's a great question. I would say your personal profile, stick to 80-20. Your business page can pretty much be all business. Every once in a while, I might throw something personal in, but your business page can be all business all the time. So sometimes you're going to have some cross posting, but for the most part, I think your business page can be all business. That's a great question. All right, so be curious and ask simple questions. Again, this is also something, I'm not giving homework today, but if I was, I would recommend you try this strategy. Ask a simple question. And when you do this, by the way, I want you to report back to me. So you can message me on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you're online, but let me know how it goes. But again, it has to be a simple question. You'll notice there's no link, there's no picture, it's just a question. So I would be curious to see when you guys try it, how it works for you. Sharon Lynch says, love this idea. Yeah, super easy, right? We can all do this. You can do this right now as I'm talking. One other tip I'm going to give you for Facebook is to manage your feeds and be more effective with your time. Angela says, people love answering questions about themselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pamela says, is it really necessary to have a personal and business page? Yes, it is important to have both. Facebook wants you to have both, and both are similar but different. And I'm going to kind of get into those nuances here in just a second. So when it comes to your Facebook feeds, one little tip I'm going to give you is you can actually manage your feed. And I think the biggest complaint a lot of people will say about Facebook is when you go on Facebook right now, your Facebook feed is filled with like people you haven't seen in 10 years and your cousin, your client, a cat video, like it's just kind of a hodgepodge, right? You see a lot of ads, stuff like that. When you're on Facebook, when you open up your phone, now I have an iPhone, so mine might look a little different. If you have an Android, your buttons might be a little bit different. But on an iPhone, if you look at the screenshot on the right side of your screen, on an iPhone, on the bottom right corner, you can click on your avatar. And I believe on an Android, it's at the top. So when you click on your avatar, you're going to get a page that looks like this. This is the menu within Facebook. And this is where you're going to see memories and birthdays and Facebook Marketplace, Facebook dating, like all the things that you're like, I didn't even realize that was there. That is all there. And one of the things that you can look at are your feeds. When you click on your feeds from here, this is absolutely magical, because from here, you can look at a feed of just things that you favorited. You could look at a feed of just your friends. You could look at a feed of just your groups or just your pages, which is pretty fabulous because, again, when you're looking at Facebook regularly, you're just kind of seeing what Facebook wants you to see. So you can actually go directly to a specific feed. We have a lot of agents inside of our Get Social Smart Academy who are friends with some of their clients. And I don't think you have to be friends with all of your clients, but some of your clients, you've hit it off, you have a great connection. At the end of a transaction, you might say, hey, I'd love to stay in touch. Let's stay in touch here on Facebook. So when you're friends with some of your clients, you could certainly put some of them into a favorites. And the way you do that is you just go to their page. So if I were to go to Angela's page or someone's page on Facebook, right where it says friend or unfriend, there's also a little button that says add to favorites. You can actually add up to 30 people to your favorites, which is a great way to really be intentional about who you want to keep in touch with. So if I were to add 20 or 30 people to my favorites, I could go to my feeds a couple times a week, look at my favorites, and then I can take a few minutes to like, comment, and interact and be really intentional. In fact, I'm a big believer in Focus 5. This is not on the screen here, but this might be something to jot down. Focus 5 is just this idea of taking 5 minutes, scroll through your feed, look for 5 posts that really speak to you, and like, comment, and interact. In fact, I would even say don't even just like and comment, but actually leave a meaningful comment. And a meaningful comment, by the way, in the world of social media is a comment that's at least 4 words. 4 words. So instead of saying great pick or happy birthday, you might say, happy birthday, Julie. I hope you have a wonderful day. Do you have anything fun planned? You see how that feels different? I used her name. I asked a question. So take a few minutes today and looking at your feeds, again, whether that's favorites, whether that's your friends, your groups, your pages. And, someone asked a second ago about the personal and business. I think it's super important to have both, because your personal profile isn't necessarily the place that you're going to talk all about business, although you might occasionally. Again, there's that 80-20 rule. But where I think the magic happens is the personal connection that happens on Facebook, because real estate's a personal business, right? It's a people business. And so I look at your personal profile as an opportunity, not just to post about business, but for you to see what your prospects, what your clients, people who have trusted you already, what they're doing, and to be able to like, comment, and interact. In fact, I think it's also an opportunity to take the online offline, right? To take the online offline. If you spend, 5 minutes a few times a week looking through your favorites and you see it's someone's birthday that you are clients with, you could write on their page, of course, happy birthday, or you could take 2 minutes, call them, text them, send them a video, like take the online offline, right? So big opportunity. I'm curious, did you guys know this feature within Facebook that you could look at the different feeds? Let me know in the chat, yes or no, if you knew this feature. Now, I'm sure some of you who are part of the Academy are going to say yes, because I already taught that to our Academy family. But if you didn't know, or if you did, let me know yes or no. I'd be curious. I'm sure some of you probably did. But usually when I teach this, a lot of people are like, I had no idea. It's one of these hidden things that Facebook has. I'm seeing a lot of no's. Good. So if you haven't done this, what I would recommend is that you check this out. Again, your phone might look a little different. I have an iPhone. If you have an Android, it might look slightly different. You can also do this on desktop. So it doesn't just have to be on mobile. But it's really fabulous, especially if you've ever felt like I am not seeing everything, right? My mom said this to me recently. She's like, did you see what so-and-so posted? I was like, no, it's annoying. You don't see everything, right? Because of the algorithm. So it's a way to kind of, I would say, sort of hack the algorithm if you'd like it. Maria says, I don't use my phone. Okay, well, the good thing is if you don't use your phone, you can still access this on desktop. So when you're on your desktop computer and you're on Facebook, you can still access it. You're just going to click in the right-hand corner on upper right-hand corner on desktop is where you're going to see your avatar, and that's where you can control your feeds and everything. So yeah, it works for desktop and mobile, which is great. Okay, so we talked a lot about Facebook. Let's transition and talk about LinkedIn, and then we're going to talk about Instagram, and then we're going to talk about putting it all together. So LinkedIn, let me know in the chat, do you have a LinkedIn account? Let me know yes or no if you have LinkedIn, if you use LinkedIn, yes or no. For a lot of folks, when it comes to LinkedIn, sometimes LinkedIn is like the set it and forget it network, where maybe you set it up at one point and maybe you haven't done a whole lot with it since. It's all good. I think LinkedIn is really important for real estate. It's not as fun as Facebook per se. However, it's a really important place because it's really one of the only professional social media networks that's out there. Gina says, yes, but I never use it. Okay, you're not alone. Pamela says, I have it, just starting to use it. Adele says, yes, button, but don't use it much. Okay. Is it worth it to have a premium account? I don't think you have to have a premium account. I don't have a premium account. I think having a free account is fine. And I want to kind of touch on some of the 5 key areas for LinkedIn. So number 1, don't be a secret agent, right? Just like your Facebook, you want to make sure at a minimum that your contact information is there. The fact that you're in real estate, the thing about LinkedIn, you don't have to necessarily go back 30 years and list everything you've ever done, but, make sure you've got your experience filled out, optimize your profile in the sense that we can get a sense of who you are. There's a credibility issue. Oftentimes when, again, you get Googled, and we all get Googled, LinkedIn is one of those first things that comes up. So if your profile is out of date, if your photo is like 20 years old, if it looks like, the lights are on, but nobody's home, it's like, are they really in business? So I don't think you need to spend a ton of time over on LinkedIn, but I do think I'd recommend that you make sure that you figure out your username and password if you haven't logged in a while. Make sure your photo's updated, make sure your contact information is there, and make sure there's some information about who you are and what you're all about. And this is really the place to brag about your expertise. I always think about the who, what, where, why. Who are you? What's your expertise? Where do you work? Why do you love what you do? As well, any designations. It's also an opportunity to connect with other colleagues, other clients. I look at LinkedIn as like the ultimate networking party. And the nice part about LinkedIn is you may not necessarily be, buddy with every single person that you are connected to on LinkedIn. What happens with LinkedIn is when you get a LinkedIn request, you'll see if you have any common connections, if they are a second tier or third tier connection. And sometimes those are some of the best connections. Interestingly, there was a study done a few years ago about business that comes from social media. And a lot of business that folks get from social media is business that's on the fringe of our lives. It's not necessarily from our best friend, but it's from like the friend of the friend of the friend. And so this is where LinkedIn can be really powerful, right? Is connecting with colleagues and clients. I don't think there's anything wrong with connecting with other agents. I always get asked, should I connect with other agents? I absolutely think that that's a huge opportunity in terms of networking. Yes. Someone asked me once, they're like, well, I don't want them to see what I'm posting. And I thought to myself, well, what are you posting? Right. So it's all good, right? I believe in connecting with other colleagues and clients. In terms of should you have a personal page or a company page, the nice part about LinkedIn is for the most part, you just need one page, your personal LinkedIn profile. The company pages are really meant for companies, like At Properties has a company page. If you're part of a team, then you might have a company page. But for the most part, if you're an individual agent, you're going to have just one personal page. The other thing that you may not know about, this is number 5 on the list, is that you can actually create free LinkedIn newsletters. This is a free feature that came out maybe about a year or 2 ago with LinkedIn. I feel like it's really underrated. A lot of people don't know this. But if you're someone who likes to write, or you're already doing, let's say you're already putting out some email newsletters, maybe you're doing some blogging, or maybe you're using ChatGPT to create some written content, you can actually go into LinkedIn and create newsletters that go out to your connections on LinkedIn. They get posted as articles on LinkedIn. And so this is a great way to kind of, again, expand your sphere. You could certainly do newsletters about your local listings, but you could also do newsletters about what's happening in your local market, local community information, and so on and so forth, which is really great. Sharon said, should you connect with other agents in your area? I would. Yeah, I absolutely would. I think there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great idea. Someone asked, can you walk us through how to create a free LinkedIn newsletter? I don't have the time to do it right now, but I do have, if you go over to my YouTube channel, I actually have a ton of videos on LinkedIn. I actually have a whole playlist on LinkedIn. And so, and I have a whole video that walks you through step by step how to do it. So if you just go to YouTube and search out Katie Lance or Katie Lance Real Estate social media, you'll find me. And there's a whole step by step. I think it's probably about a 5-minute video that goes step by step exactly how to do it. But it's honestly pretty easy. You're going to do it on your computer, not your phone. You basically go to LinkedIn, and at the very top of LinkedIn, there's like a big box where it says like, what are you doing right now? And that's where you can post a photo or a video. And there's a little button that says write article. And when you click write article, that'll take you to a page where you can basically write everything out or copy and paste it and then create a newsletter. Really, really easy to do. So yeah, my pleasure. Yeah. And if you go over to my YouTube channel, I do have different playlists. So I have a playlist on LinkedIn. I have a playlist about Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. So I think I'm the only Katie Lance on YouTube that talks about social media for real estate. I'm hoping. So you'll see me. All right, cool. So we've talked about Facebook, we've talked about LinkedIn. Let's talk a little bit about Instagram. I'm sure a lot of you in the beginning, if you're active on Instagram, you might have taken out your phone and scanned my QR code. If you didn't get a chance to, I'm dropping it on this page too. Feel free to do that. Who here is active on Instagram? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you're active on Instagram. Again, no shame either way. So if you are, great. If you're not, it's all good. As I said in the beginning, I don't think you have to be everywhere. I don't think you have to be all things to all people. I've been on Instagram for a while, probably about a decade, and it is crazy how much Instagram has changed. If you've been on Instagram a long time, I see a lot of yeses. Jennifer says, yes, I love it. If you've been on Instagram a long time, you know in the beginning, it was just like pretty pictures. And the biggest decision you had to make was, what filter am I going to pick? And now there's so many different options with Reels and Stories and Instagram Live and all different things. So I want to kind of share 5 quick tips for maximizing Instagram. And if you are active on Facebook and you're thinking about like what's next, I think Instagram is a great what's next to Facebook because they're both owned by Meta. So they're similar but different. You could certainly post similar things to both platforms, but Instagram is also a great opportunity to reach a bigger audience. Sometimes the drawback with Facebook is Facebook tends to be a little bit of an echo chamber where Facebook is great for keeping in touch with people. Sometimes it's tough to build your sphere over on Facebook because you tend to be talking to the same people unless you're doing things like advertising. Instagram, on the other hand, Instagram is a lot more of a public place, in my opinion, and I think it's an even bigger opportunity to connect with those, especially local to you. So number one, when it comes to Instagram, be thumb stopping because Instagram is primarily an app you're using on your phone. That's a big difference between Instagram and Facebook. Some of you mentioned you only use Facebook on your computer. Well, Instagram is pretty much mobile only. Now, the good news is, though, Instagram has gotten better and better on your desktop. So if you want to use Instagram on your desktop, it has gotten better. There are some cool things that you can do, which is great. But honestly, it's really ideal for your phone. So we want to think about how to be thumb stopping. And the way I think about this is not every picture is going to be an Instagram worthy picture, right? So we want to kind of think about what are the things that are thumb stopping that really catch your attention. And when I look at Instagram, especially for like a listing, I think there's a great opportunity to post your best of the best pictures and videos. There's also, though, an opportunity to share your stories, that behind the scenes, right? And this is where number 2 kind of goes into play, this opportunity to leverage stories, reels, carousel posts. Carousel posts are multi-photo posts. You can post up to 10. Some of you might actually have the opportunity to post up to 20 in a carousel. I just got that feature recently, so I can actually post up to 20 pictures in a carousel now, which is like super exciting. But there's lots of different opportunities. And the difference between your feed and your stories, I think that's important to kind of acknowledge. Your feed is where you're going to see posts and pictures and graphics, reels, videos. Again, your stories are a little bit more behind the scenes. It's like the story behind the story. So if you've got in your feed a couple of your best photos from your upcoming listing or your upcoming open house, your story is going to be like a sneak peek behind the scenes, right? As you're getting the house ready for the market, or as you're meeting the stager, or the day that you're getting those photos taken. It allows us to give you kind of a behind the scenes sneak peek into what you're doing. And I find that the agents who are leveraging both, posting in their feed at least a few times a week, as well as stories, can make a difference. Now, the nice part about Instagram is if you are active on Facebook, you can have your Instagram content automatically go over to Facebook as well, which is a time saver. Post consistently. I don't think you have to post every single day on Instagram or any platform, but consistency is the name of the game. I would say the same thing about Facebook. I would say the same thing about LinkedIn. I'd say the same thing about Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform. pick a couple days and stick to it. So whether that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we are creatures of habit. And so for yourself, it's way easier to be consistent when in your mind, you're like, okay, it's Monday. This is what I post on a Monday. So, and that's actually something we talk about in the planner, which I'll share the link to the planner at the end here today, is if you can get yourself into a routine of like Monday I do this or Wednesday I do this, that's going to help tremendously, not just for Instagram, but for any of your social media. Number 4, optimize your bio. So with Instagram, you have a small amount of real estate, no pun intended, but you only have about 150 characters. So it's really important to really be clear that you're a realtor and what market area. In fact, I just was chatting with someone on Instagram yesterday, and I was like, can I give you some unsolicited advice? And she's like, of course. I said, your bio is great, but and I can see that, and she was in Texas. I was like, I see you're in Texas, but you have to tell me exactly where you're at in Texas in your bio. Texas is huge, right? Just like, Illinois. So I'm like, you have to be specific. So she just made that small little change. She put, realtor in San Antonio, Texas. That tiny little thing really does make a big difference on Instagram in your bio, in your name, but just making sure you're really clear with your geography of where you're at, which is key. Angela says, what are your thoughts on posting the same content to Facebook and Insta? There's a way to connect one post to both places. How are the optics? I think for the most part, that's fine. The only thing that sometimes is a little bit of an issue is when you want to post a link. So for example, let's say you've got a listing and you've got, 10 great photos, and then you want to share a link to that property website. Links on Instagram aren't clickable, right? If you post a bunch of pictures and then you post a link on Instagram, it's not clickable. So this is where you kind of want to be a little bit careful. If I were to post on Facebook, I would post those photos, I'd post a description, and then I'd probably say on Facebook, click here for more information with the link. Instagram, I'm going to have exactly the same thing, but instead I would say, send me a message for the link, or click the link in my bio for the link, or comment below and I'll send you the link. So that's where you just want to be kind of cognizant of the fact that they're similar, but different, if that makes sense. That's a great question. Now, one thing I'll just give you a quick tip. There's a free tool. Some of you might be using this called Meta Business Suite. Meta Business Suite is free. And with Meta Business Suite, you can use that on your desktop, on your phone also, but you can use that to schedule and post Facebook and Instagram. And you can customize it, which is beautiful. So let's say on a Monday, you have your photos ready for your new listing that's going live on Tuesday. On Monday, you can go in, upload your photos, write out your caption, customize it for Facebook, customize it for Instagram, and get it scheduled all within Meta Business Suite. So, which is kind of cool. That's a great question. Can you put the link in the comments of that post? Gina, on Instagram, you can't. On Instagram, you can't. So the only place that you can put a link in Instagram is in your bio, which is why a lot of people say, click the link in my bio. So you either need to put it in your bio, or if you're in your story, you can share a link in your story. So to this example, if I had a new listing, I would post that in my feed. I would post some pictures or a reel, and I would have a call to action like, hey, if you'd like the link, like and comment below or send me a message. But then I'd also share that post to my story, and then you could share the link in your story also. Yeah, putting the link in your story is great. Yeah, absolutely. Last thing that's on the screen is Focus 5. I already talked about this with Facebook, but I will say it works really well on Instagram too. Focus 5 is this idea of taking 5 minutes, scroll through your feed. And by the way, I've been doing this for years. I think I've been doing this for 10 years. I do this every morning with my cup of coffee before I open up email, because once you open up email, it's a black hole you're never going to get out of. So take 5 minutes every morning, scroll through your feed, look for 5 posts that just speak to you, something that makes you smile, something that makes you laugh, something that's interesting, and leave a meaningful comment, right? Meaningful comment, at least 4 words, right? Gina says, yes, stories allow you to add the link. I love that. Yes, me too. And it used to be, for those of you who are like old school Instagram, do you remember back in the day, you used to need to have like 10,000 followers to have the link in a story. And now anybody can do it, which is awesome. I love that they made that change. Just looking at our time here. Okay, we've got about 20 minutes left. I want to just share a quick conversation I had about Instagram with one of our Academy members. So Amy Carroll, she's a realtor out in Tampa. She's originally from Long Island, but she lives in Tampa with her husband. And she is awesome to follow on social media. She's a great one to follow when it comes to Instagram. And her and I had a conversation about relationship building. She said, I've been having great conversations on Instagram stories. I find that the conversations build relationships. Relationships are what leads to opportunity. It's like people remember the point of social media is to be social. I love when this happens because that's when opportunities arise. Love that. So I said, I love that. You're so spot on. What a great way to phrase it. Conversations build relationships, and relationships are what lead to opportunities, right? That's the name of the game. And Amy said, it's the secret sauce. It always amazes me when an agent follows me and I reach out with a message that one of the first things they say is they're looking for referral partners. Why would we refer business to each other if we don't even know each other? Same goes for agents who want to find customers on social. It doesn't happen with just a few feed posts. This stuff takes time. You have to build the know, like, and trust factor. It's a long game. And so what she's talking about is how much value she has found in stories as well as the feed. So if you follow Amy, she's posting a few times a week in her feed. She's posting about Tampa. She's posting about, local businesses. She's posting about her listings. Like she's doing all the things, but her stories are also giving people a little sneak peek behind the scenes. She is also making sure she's taking a few minutes to comment and interact, especially on other people's stories. The nice part about stories is when you comment on someone's stories, it's going right to their DMs. It's going right to their messages. And when you start to post stories, you'll start to get more DMs. And that's where you're sparking conversations. Those conversations that's like the beginning point of relationship building. And over the course of time, that's where you're building those relationships. So it's just a huge opportunity. A lot of people start with stories by just sharing what they've posted in their feed to their stories. And that's a great place to start. But if you are not really getting a lot of traction on Instagram, I would absolutely recommend that you start thinking about how can you kind of take people behind the scenes a little bit. And it doesn't always have to be about business. It could be what you're watching on Netflix or what you're reading. I just shared yesterday a new book that I started reading. I'm a huge West Wing fan. I don't know if any of you are West Wing fans, but I'm a huge West Wing fan. I just bought a new book about the behind the scenes from the West Wing, the TV show, from the 90s. And I had so many people message me, oh, I love that show. Oh my gosh, that's such a great show. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. When you post things that you love, whether it's coffee or books or movies or whatever, it's relatable, right? And often the most boring things are the most relatable things, right? Okay. And ultimately, what we're talking about here is relationship building, right? Relationships are built with these small, tiny interactions over the course of time. Every like, every comment, every share adds up, right? Makes a huge difference. Erica says, what are your thoughts on YouTube? I think YouTube is a huge opportunity. I'm actually going to talk more about YouTube in January during our content masterclass in January. But YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. It's owned by Google. And so if you are actively posting video to Instagram or Facebook, I would absolutely encourage you to also repost that over to YouTube. That could be a great place to expand your sphere and get in front of new folks as well. And that's where tools like ChatGPT and AI can also come into play because they can help you with descriptions and keywords and titles and things like that. So ultimately, it's about putting it all together into a plan, right? In fact, I actually have a screenshot of my YouTube channel right there. So if you're looking for my YouTube channel, that's what it looks like. Feel free to subscribe and check that out. We have new videos every week. The way I look at this is, again, like I said in the beginning, I don't think you have to be all things to all people. I don't think you have to spend a ton of time on this, but we have to be intentional, right? I encourage you to time block, get some of this stuff on your schedule daily, weekly, and monthly. On a daily basis, I would say like 10 or 15 minutes a day where you're going to focus 5, where you're going to respond to people, you're going to connect with people, you're going to look at your feeds, right? On a weekly basis, you might set aside 20 or 30 minutes once a week to post or create content. And on a monthly basis, one of the things I do monthly, I set aside about an hour or two, sometimes longer every month to batch create content. I often find if I'm going to do my hair and makeup and record one video, you better believe I'm going to record like 5. So I've been batching content for years. I put on my calendar every month. I don't post it right away, but I create a lot all in one batch. So then I've got content to post if I'm out of town or if I'm sick or if a family member's sick. Nobody got into this business to work 24 hours a day. So starting to put out your own content in your voice is really, really powerful. Focusing on pillar content. Pillar content is content that's evergreen or timeless. It's those frequently asked questions like who pays for what and how to find a lender and what are the biggest mistakes every first-time homebuyer makes. If you can start to post stuff that's a little bit timeless, guess what? You could post it today and you can repost it again 3 months from now, 6 months from now, et cetera, et cetera. Get organized, get consistent, right? And focus on relationship building, which is key. Somebody says, what is Amy's tagline? I can't find her. I can look and see. I had a feeling somebody was going to ask me that. Let me see if I can find her real quick on the gram. So her handle is A Team Sells Florida. Let me see if I can type this in the chat for you guys. A Team, hold on, let me write the right one. Sells FL. Hopefully I spelled that right. Hold on, I'm looking and I think I spelled it wrong. A Team Sells Florida. Okay, I just put it in the chat right there. Time blocking is key. Yes, exactly. Just like you time block for prospecting. Could not agree more. And what happens oftentimes is social media becomes this bolt-on where we bolt it onto our business when we have time versus making it a priority. And if you can make that mindset shift that this is a lead generating activity, it's just as important as if you're doing cold calling, if you're doing door knocking, if you're doing handwritten notes, it's just one more piece of that. So getting it in your calendar and being consistent with it is huge. Creating content, not just to promote you, but that your ideal client wants to see. I would also say this is important, especially for those of you, if you've been doing this for a while, this is a great thing to also look at. If you feel like you're not getting traction, look to see how you're saying things. A lot of times, and I'm guilty of this because I've been teaching in the real estate industry for almost 20 years. So I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of using a lot of acronyms that maybe the average person doesn't use, like, CRS or CRM or SOI. Like, think about how your clients actually ask questions. And if you can regurgitate that verbiage or those words back into your content, what's going to happen is people will start to say things like, oh my gosh, like, I totally relate with what you're saying, or, oh my gosh, that makes a lot of sense. Like, it really speaks to that relatability factor, right? So pay attention to how someone, not just what people are asking you, because that can be great content, but the words they're using also. Another tool I want to share, we have a free content grid. Some of you I know have downloaded this over the years. If you haven't, I will put the link in the chat so you guys can download this. This is a great free resource that we created years ago, and we updated it recently for 2024, katielance.com/content grid. Click on the link in the chat. When you click on it, you'll see a pop-up. It'll ask for your name and email. You can put that in, and then we'll send this to you. This is a multi-page PDF. I think it's like a 7 or 8 page PDF, and it's really awesome. I don't care at what level you're at. If you're a beginner, if you're more advanced, having some sort of like content organization system helps tremendously. And what you're going to get when you download this for free is a content grid that we created that's somewhat generic. Just about any of you could use it. What I recommend when you download it, though, look at it, look to see what resonates for you. There's going to be certain topics that resonate for you. There's going to be other things where you're like, that's not me, and that's okay. You can cross it out. We're also going to give you a blank page so you can create your own content grid also. And then we're going to give you a lot of content ideas and some of my favorite apps and stuff like that. So to be honest with you, the way a lot of agents use this is when they're sitting down once or twice a week to post content, they will print this out, they'll pull it up, they've got it, handy on their bulletin board or whatever. And they've got, right in front of them 20 or 30 ideas right there, which is great. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks, Sharon. And at the end of the day, the business reason for all of this is the leads you get from great content are so much better. They're so much better. When you start to really put yourself out there, especially sharing your opinion, sharing your personality, sharing not just tips, but really sharing your insight, you'll start to hear things like, I see you everywhere. Oh my gosh, I feel like I know you. I feel like you're in my head. And those kind of people, when they're ready to work with you, they are ready to work with you. They are not shopping around calling 12 different realtors. No, they know you. And now it's up to you to decide if you want to work with them. It's the difference between attracting business versus chasing leads. Attracting business versus chasing leads. It's an awesome way of doing business. I will also say that not only can you use the content grid for ideas, but you can use ChatGPT for ideas. Again, I've got a whole playlist on this over on my YouTube channel, so I don't want to spend too much time. But if you are looking for ideas for video ideas or scripts or questions, maybe you want to do an interview, maybe you want to do some Facebook Live or Instagram Live, you want to create some reels, you want to create a social media plan, you want to create some AI images like using Canva. There are a lot of opportunities to use AI. And just like any AI tool, I think we've all realized that at this point, it's so important that we don't just copy and paste, right? If we use a tool like ChatGPT or any AI tool, we're not just blindly copying and pasting. Read it over, double check it, make sure that you are compliant with fair housing, make sure that it sounds like you. a lot of times when I use ChatGPT, I will actually read it out loud and go, wait, that does not sound like me at all. Right. So I love that ChatGPT can get you maybe 50% of the way there. It can be a huge time saver in a big way. And someone mentioned YouTube earlier. I love ChatGPT for helping come up with ideas for YouTube or scripts, keywords, things like that. Video is important. I've talked about video quite a lot, whether we're talking about Facebook or Instagram, any platform. Most people retain 95% of the message in a video compared to only 10% of what they read in text. But the challenge is that I know for a lot of folks, if I can be real, we don't always like how we look. We don't like how we sound. We don't know how to do it. So then we don't do it. And I'll never forget, I had a really good friend of mine many years ago who was like, Katie, that's how you look. And that's how you sound. So you got to get over it. So I will lovingly tell you the same thing, because especially now in 2024, with the amount of noise that's out there on social media, one of the ways to stand out in a sea of sameness is for us to hear you, for us to see you. And a lot of times I'll go to someone's Instagram or Facebook, and the number one thing that's often missing is them, right? Is them. So a couple tips though for getting better on video and just improving your reels and your videos. Have a hook, right? You may have heard this before if you've heard people talk about video. Get right into the video. So instead of introducing yourself, start with, hey, do you need to da da da? Have you ever felt like this? The best thing you can do, if you can just start with whatever the video is, that's going to make a big difference. And then having some sort of easy call to action at the end, like, do you agree? Like and comment below. What do you think? Like and comment below. Follow for more tips. The mistake a lot of agents make is they will start with, hey everyone, I'm so-and-so, I'm a local realtor, and today I'm going to talk about, I have already scrolled past you, right? We have like this really short attention span. So my tip is get right into it. If you're doing a video about the number one thing every first-time home buyer needs to know in Chicago, start with that. So you might say, here's the number one thing every first-time home buyer needs to know if you are moving to Chicago. Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Lance. I'm a local realtor, blah, blah, blah. Share your tip. And then at the end, have some sort of simple call to action. Hey, what do you think? Like and comment below. Hey, follow for more tips. When you can have a simple call to action, again, people aren't necessarily going to respond to, are you looking to buy or sell? Right? People usually don't comment that publicly. So having something simple that they can comment, like, interact, again, just a small thing that makes a huge difference. Yeah, this is a huge number. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. Yeah. The fact that 95% of the people remember what they see in video versus a written word. And the beautiful part about video, you guys, is it's gotten so much easier. When I was talking about video 10 years ago, it was a whole nother ball game, right? It's so much easier nowadays with the tools that we have, the phones that we have, the apps that we have. And the beautiful part is we don't have to worry about creating like, hour-long Oscar-worthy performances. We're talking about quick 30-second, 20-second, 60-second, short, quick, bite-sized pieces, which is awesome. Ultimately, video answers a question of what does it feel like to work with you, right? What does it feel like to work with you? And, just like what I said in the beginning, there's a huge opportunity. Yes, there might be other folks in your area who are doing some of this stuff, but they're not you, right? They're not you. And so this gives you an opportunity to really kind of lean into who you are and who you're not. And look, you don't have to be everyone's cup of tea. In fact, one of my dear friends says, I love this. She says, I may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I might be somebody's shot of tequila, which I love that. I may not be everyone's cup of tea, but you might be somebody's shot of tequila, right? So lean into who you are and who you're not. Repurpose your content. If you've already been doing a lot of what we're talking about today, that's awesome. But my challenge to you is to think about, is there stuff that you've posted that you could repurpose, that you could repost? Could you take some of your videos and get them transcribed? Could you send out some of this content to your email database? Could you repost something on Facebook and repost it over to Instagram or TikTok? The people who love you the most, they don't even see all your content because of all the algorithms. So you might feel like, oh, I already posted that. Most people are not going to even notice. So repost, repurpose, work smarter, not harder. In fact, this month over in the Academy, we are talking all about repurposing. This is our theme for the month, right? Work smarter, not harder. I've got 5 more slides left, which is perfect because I've got 5 more minutes. So stand out in a sea of sameness. You've heard this before. This is another great thing to share as you're thinking about what to share today on social media. Stand out in a sea of sameness. When I look at this and I think of this, I think of I think of a lighthouse. Be a lighthouse in a sea of sameness, right? What does a lighthouse do? A lighthouse is a beacon. A lighthouse is that, it helps lead the way. And I would encourage you to be a lighthouse in a sea of sameness. And you can do that with what you put out there, by connecting, by, really engaging and being intentional, as we talked about. I've got a few book recommendations. I love recommending books. One of my favorite books, this is an oldie but goodie. I would imagine a lot of you read this. This came out like probably 30 years ago. Who Moved My Cheese? It's about a little mouse whose cheese got moved. And we've all had our cheese moved, especially this week. There's a lot of cheese moving this week in the real estate industry, right? But with change comes opportunity, right? And the thing I always look at is it's not about getting thousands of followers. It's about getting the right followers, right? It's about being intentional with what you're doing. Another book I'm going to recommend is Smart Brevity. I read this back in January. I love this. If you struggle at all with writing, if sometimes with the marketing part of your business, with writing, with captions, this is a great book. This is a quick read. I read this in probably a few hours. Actually, I listened to it. It's an audiobook. So it's a great audiobook, but it's also a great physical book too. But less is more. This is a book that's really going to help you be even more concise with what you say, with the words that you say, whether it's social media posts, your email marketing. I love it. It's really, really a great resource. A few apps, I already mentioned some of these that I recommend. And by the way, I'm not affiliated with any of these. I just use them. I think they're great. Canva, love Canva for graphics, for videos. Linktree is a tree I use for Instagram. We talked about earlier, going to the link in your bio. Linktree, I can have multiple links, which is great. Meta Business Suite, we talked about that earlier, great for scheduling content and kind of adjusting it for Facebook and Instagram. Repurpose.io, this is a tool I've been using for about a year and a half now. That is a paid tool, but it allows you to repurpose your video content. So if you're already putting video content out on Instagram and you want to easily repurpose it for TikTok or Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, repurpose.io is a great tool, especially for those of you producing a lot of video content. And ChatGPT, like I said, great for coming up with captions, coming up with ideas for content, coming up with hashtags as well. Take the online offline. I said this earlier, take the online offline. And I firmly believe this. I'm a big believer in thank you notes. My mom and my grandma taught me well. And I'm a big believer. I love getting handwritten notes in the mail. I love the holidays. When you go to your mailbox and you open the mailbox and it's like all those cards in the mail. I think there's such an opportunity to take the online offline. When you look at social media for a lot of folks is like their highlight reel, right? So that's an opportunity to send the card for someone who's got a new job or a baby gift, or to make that phone call. It's being a noticer, as we talked about earlier. As we get to the end here, I'm going to open it up to questions. I know we have just a few minutes left. I want to share a couple things here on the screen. I have a link here for my slides, as I promised earlier. So get your phone out, scan that QR code. You can also go to katielance.com/@properties. And when you go to that page, it's going to, again, ask for your name and email. And this is going to send you all my slides from today. Also, my slides from my presentation back in the spring. So if you missed that for whatever reason, or you want to reference that presentation really kind of goes hand in hand with this one. So you'll be able to download both. And I also have my email on the screen also, in case you want to email me directly. You can also pick up a copy of my social media planner. I'll drop the link to that in the chat, just so you guys have that as well. And you guys are awesome. So let me know really quick in the chat, how did you enjoy today? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Did you get some ahas? Let me know yes or no in the chat. And I'm going to drop those links in the chat also. And I'll stay on for a couple more minutes for any other questions. And I can see Angela's back on camera.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, so many good things, right? So our challenge to you today, guys, because there's so much that was presented today, is take 1 to 2 things that you're going to learn more about or implement into your business. Another big key component is time blocking, which I know you hear me talk about a lot when we're talking about coaching and training in your business. But if you time block some time to get your social media done every week, it is going to make your life so much easier and a lot less overwhelming. And also just be you. We talk about this too, authenticity. Like, people are looking to just get to know you as a human being and want to connect with you on a personal level. So just be you. You don't have to reinvent yourself or do anything different.